take a step back from our normal study of salvation and looking at those different aspects, and just take a look at what's going on, kind of give some scripture to what we can expect going forward, how the Bible talks potentially about some of this stuff, and let's see kind of the word. It's still out yet. We don't know for sure if this is going to be the start of what I believe is going to be the Psalm 83 war, but we'll just have to wait and see. There's still some more players that have to get involved before I would confirm to you that I think that it is. But what I would say is it is worthy of taking note of for this reason and this reason alone. It was almost 50 years to the day since the last time Israel has been in a war. The last time Israel has been in a literal war where they announced war was in 1973, which was the Yom Kippur War, and literally this was a day after. 50 years to the day, one day later. So if you think that's all by coincidence or accident, you're not paying attention. This was calculated and planned. Anytime we look at what's going on over at Israel, we need to take notice. Here's a very important Bible practical lesson you need to learn if you haven't already learned it. Okay? In light of, I shouldn't say in light of, in spite of what we all may think, and I say that in a tongue in cheek, the Bible's not about the church. The Bible's not about us. Okay? We're not the epicenter. I know we like to think we are, but we're not. The epicenter and the what the most of the Bible is about is the nation of Israel and the people of Israel. Okay, Jesus was a Jew. Jesus is going to sit on the literal throne of David when he returns. Okay, we get grafted in during this dispensation, this period of time that we're living in, but we're living in a parenthetical. That's where we are right now. As far as God's concerned with the calculation of time, the best way I can describe it is time's not being counted right now because we are living in a parenthetical. At some point, the church is going to get raptured out. God's going to turn his attention back onto Israel, and then the tribulation period is going to begin. One of the most absolute obvious reasons to why the church does not go through the tribulation is understanding what the tribulation is actually about. Most folks, unfortunately, don't understand. The tribulation is a culmination of Daniel's 70-week prophecy as found in Daniel 9:24 through 27. I've often said this, and I will stand firm on this, as firm as I can possibly be on it, because I believe there's a few things that I will stand toe-to-toe with anybody. And when it comes to the nation of Israel, I'll stand toe-to-toe. Let's go. Let's see what the Bible says. Let's go. Let's find out. The King James Bible, I'll stand toe-to-toe with anybody. Let's go. Facts are a stubborn thing. Let's go. I will stand very firm on that. This is one subject I will stand very firm on. I will not waver to the left or to the right, because I think the Bible talks way, way too much about this subject. There's way, way too much stuff in here to grab onto and pull out, that if you rightly divide it and you put it all in its proper place, God has laid it out so perfectly it's ridiculous. That if you mess it up, it's because you messed it up, because you want to have some presupposition about something and you want to run with that. To me, there are certain things you cannot mess up if you just let the Bible be the Bible. Okay, this is one of them, and what I mean by that is the Daniel's 70-week prophecy. And here's the thing, And I think some of you may have heard me say this before. And so let me say it again because I think it's that important. There are 3 places in the Bible that I think you can take somebody to, ask them what they think about this particular place, and I'll tell you what those 3 places are, that will pretty much tell you probably what they think about their Bible. That's it. Like 3 places. Okay, what are they? Daniel 9, 24 to 27. Bring somebody to Daniel 9, 24 to 27, have them read those 4 verses and say, okay, what do you think those verses are saying? Either they're going to give you some crazy, ridiculous, off-the-wall answer, or generally, most of the time what I get is, I have no idea, is what I'll generally get. And when somebody says, I have no idea, what that then tells me is, no disrespect to that person, but they probably don't know their Bibles all that well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because everything else around the Bible is based off of that. Like, if you want to get what's going on here, you got to make sure you get those 4 verses right. Because if you don't get those 4 verses right, you're not going to understand everything else. I want to say everything, but a lot of other things. All right, so Daniel 9, 24 to 27 is definitely one of those places. Another one of those places, absolutely without question, is Revelation chapter 11. I would bring somebody to Revelation 11, and I would say, okay, who are these 7 personas that are mentioned in Revelation 11, what's your take on that? And based on their answers of what they'll say, specifically who the woman is, who the man-child is, in Revelation 12 as well, as it goes into that, who are the 2 witnesses, what their answers are on there's 7 people that are mentioned in those 2 chapters, 11 and 12, and based on someone's answers on that, generally speaking, I can pretty much tell you what they think and what they believe. Give you an example. If you go to Revelation chapter 12 and you say that the woman is Mary or the church, all right, I got you. You obviously think that the church has replaced Israel. That's what you think. Whether you realize that or not, that's what you're saying. No, the woman in Revelation chapter 12, undoubtedly, without a question, is Israel. Okay? And so, again, there's these 3 places, Revelation 11, Revelation 12, and Daniel 9, 24 to 27. Just take them there, ask them what they think, and boom. And then probably the last place I would probably bring somebody is Matthew 24. And then I would say, okay, what's going on here in these verses right here? And generally, people will mess that up as well, from my experience. I'm not saying that they always will, but those are very, very key, important places in Scripture. Now, why am I saying that? The reason why I'm saying that is because how somebody interprets those Scriptures will then tell you how they interpret the rest of the Bible. If they don't know, well, that tells me then they don't know. They probably don't know their Bible all that well, right? Because they don't know. But then if they start to try to interpret those verses and start telling you what they think they mean, it just gives away what they think. Okay? And so I say all that to say, tonight's not a night about Daniel 9, 24 through 27, although that is a fantastic study. That tells us what is going to and why and how the tribulation is going to shake out. Obviously important verses. Tonight's not about Revelation 11 or 12, but obviously very important events that are going to take place during the tribulation period that are going to be very key events that are going to take place. Tonight's not about Matthew 24, which, by the way, Matthew 24 is all about the tribulation. That's what it's about. Listen, but if you go to Matthew 24 and you go, see, and they who endured until the end will be saved. See, if you don't interpret that as the tribulation period, you'll say that somebody can lose their salvation. You see why all this is important? All this stuff's important. Those chapters are vitally important. So either you understand them, or you don't understand them, or you've misinterpreted them. It's only one of the 3. That's why I tell you, give me 10 minutes with somebody, let me bring them there, let me start asking questions, and I can pretty much tell you what they think. I'll give you an overview of what their idea of their Bible is based off of that. I say all that to say this. We've got to recognize that the United States, the church, however you want to shake that thing out, is not the epicenter of the Bible. Israel is. Everything is based on Israel. Israel is the pushing forward of all prophecy in the Bible. All prophecy that is done in the Bible from a prophetical, moving the clock forward standpoint is based on Israel. The church is just thank you. That's all it is. At some point, though, we're going to get removed and the tribulation is going to begin. Okay. With that said, it's been almost 50 years since Israel's been at war last. So the fact that Israel, on Sunday, announced that they're at war now, that's a big deal. That's not a small thing. It's been 50 years. Something's about to go down. All I can say is, I don't know for sure if Psalm 83 is about to go down, but this is what I would say. If you're listening online right now, if you're within any earshot of what I'm saying, if you're going to go back and listen to this later, please hear what I'm about to say, because if this doesn't matter, then anything else I say after this isn't going to matter. Okay? If you were ever going to get right with Jesus, now's a good time. Amen. Now's a good time. Don't play. Don't play around, because I'm telling you, things are going down. It's starting to go down. Something's up. If you just watch everything that's going on, something is up. So again, almost 50 years to the day was the last time Israel officially announced they were at war. It's when they were attacked by Egypt and Syria. Thousands of people since Saturday have been kidnapped, murdered, killed. All horrific things have been going on. I don't know if you've been paying attention, and I don't certainly want to discomfort anybody if you don't know, but I do think it's important that we do know. Okay? Hamas is kidnapping children, little babies, beheading them. They are raping women and children, killing them after they're done. They are doing some very horrific things over there. This isn't just a little deal going on. It's bad. From what I saw on the way over here, they're estimating right now that over 2,500 people have lost their lives since Saturday, and that number's not going to go down. It's going to go up. Okay, because this isn't going to go away. Obviously, it's one of those things that's just not going to happen. But as both sides are launching missiles at one another and all the things that are taking place, it definitely led to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to say that we are at war. And like I said, if Israel says they're at war, this has biblical implications, and it should not be ignored. It should not be ignored. So real quick, I want to kind of give you a little bit of background here in case you don't know or want to know. Who is Hamas? Hamas is the terrorist group that attacked the Gaza Strip. They're obviously a terrorist organization, but here's what you got to know about them that most people don't know. They're funded by Iran. Okay? Now, why that's important is because Iran plays a very huge role in end-time events. Okay, so that's important. The other thing that you might want to know, if you care to know, is that President Biden, okay, he has given over the course of his presidency over $6 billion to the Iranian administration. So the money he's been giving to them by the U.S. tax dollars is going to fund beheading of kids. Good, sounds great. That's beautiful. Let's just keep giving them money. That's awesome. It's just the facts. Facts are a stubborn thing. It's the reality of what's going on. Okay? This is where we're at. So Hamas is a terrorist group. A spokesperson from Iran, a guy by the name of Ghazi Hamad, told the BBC, that's a radio station, that terrorist groups had received funding for the attack, and it was also according to the Wall Street Journal from Iran. Iran has for a long time stated that their objective is to, without a question, destroy Israel, to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. They have also signaled that, without question, this is why Iran is important to take note of, they've also signaled that they are in development of nuclear weapons. You don't want to give Iran nuclear weapons. Okay, so now why is all that a problem? Well, I was having a conversation with some young ladies over here on Sunday about this. Here's the thing that you got to grab onto that's also equally important is who Iran's friends with. Okay? Because who Iran's friends with plays a huge impact on prophetical events. And specifically, I'm talking about Ezekiel 38 and 39 right now, if you know anything about that. And I'll kind of touch on that near the end. But listen, here's the thing you need to know about Iran and who they are close friends with. They are close friends with the bear, Russia. Okay? Russia is supplying Iran with weapons and all kinds of stuff. The thing you need to know about that is, what's interesting is Ezekiel 38 and 39 clearly tells us that Russia and Iran are going to join in coalition to do what? Attack Israel. Okay? That's what's going to happen. All right? So don't think what happened with Russia invading the Ukraine didn't have prophetical significance. Because let me tell you why it did. What it proved to the world is that, what Russia proved to the world is that Russia can do what they want to do and nobody else will do anything about it. Y'all get it? Okay, now, they invade the Ukraine. Obviously, they've gotten their butts handed to them. Okay, so now they're going to have a door that's going to open up sometime here in the very near future where they're going to have an opportunity to invade Israel. What's going to happen is, well, nobody touched us when we invaded Ukraine. Nobody's going to touch us if we invade Israel, okay? And not only that, but, well, we got our butts handed in the Ukraine. Why don't we get the whole Middle Eastern countries to all join with us and let's go? They ain't going to stop that. Y'all see what's happening? It's all a stage being set. It's leading to where this is all going to end up, where it's coming, okay? But Ezekiel 38 and 39 is for another time. What you have to understand is that what the deal is when you're looking at, and I don't want to get too far into what's going on and why, but the reality is Israel was removed from their land in 606 BC, the northern kingdom of Israel, by Babylon. And then 19 years later, in 587 BC, the southern kingdom of Israel was removed from the land. What's important to note about that is the southern kingdom of Israel is where Jerusalem was. Okay? Just as the Bible predicted, and some of you have been here when I've gone through this, just as the Bible predicted, to the day, as cool as that is, unbelievably, to the day, on May 14th, 1948, Israel regained their land again. Just the exact amount of time, 2,520 years, if my memory serves me correctly, that the Bible said was going to happen, and Israel came back into their land. And then ironically, if you go from 606 BC to 587 BC, how many years is that? Gosh, you guys got to go back to school. Come on. 19 years, okay, 606 to 587, it's 19 years. Well, you want to know what happened 19 years from 1948 to 1967? That was a 6-day war where Israel regained Jerusalem again. I know, this is all coincidence, just crazy stuff, just crazy how that all happens. But again, just as the Bible predicted it would. Okay, here we are now, okay, and now Israel's back in their land, but the problem is the Muslims, or the so-called Palestinians, think it's their land, okay? Israel doesn't have a right to be there. Israel doesn't have a right to, as far as they're concerned, Israel doesn't even have a right to exist. Okay? So it's not even that they don't have a right to be there. As far as they're concerned, Israel doesn't even have a right to exist. I think somebody else had that mindset. Pretty sure his name was Hitler. Yeah? Remember Nazi Germany? Okay, because listen, let me tell you what's going on. Okay? The devil is in all of this. He knows what's going on, and he knows the criteria for Jesus' return. For Jesus to return, Israel has to be in their land, and they have to call on Jesus as their Messiah. That's what's going to peel back those clouds and let him come back. What the devil's trying to do is stop that from happening. When Israel, isn't it interesting that when Israel shows up, and they start talking about the Balfour Declaration in 1917, allowing Israel to come back into the land, isn't it interesting that all of a sudden Hitler comes on the scene? Isn't it interesting that he kills 6 million Jews? Do you think all that's by coincidence? That was right around the time Israel was prophesied in the Bible to come back into their land? And just prior to it, starting in 1939, he tries to exterminate them? But, don't miss it, did he? And what happened? God brought them back in their land just like he said he would. And then isn't it interesting that 19 years later, that it wasn't Israel that did anything. It's not like Israel started the Six-Day War. The whole Muslim countries reloaded, came in and attacked Israel again on June 6, 1967, and instead of winning, Israel not only pushed them back, but regained Jerusalem for the first time in 2,000 years. None of this is coincidence. God's in control. Israel will be in their land, and there's nothing those Palestinians can do. Because here's the thing. If you go back to Genesis, chapter number 12, under the Abrahamic covenant, you have to recognize that Abraham was promised that land, that specific piece of property. Matter of fact, that piece of property is actually bigger than it is. And in the millennial kingdom, it's going to reach all the way into past Iraq, going all the way over into Egypt. That's how big the land that was actually promised to them. Israel's never had all that land. They will. Okay? It's going to happen in the millennial kingdom, but it isn't going to happen prior to that. Okay? But here's where we're at. This is what's going on. Hamas attacked Israel because they believe that piece of property, specifically what they attacked with the Gaza Strip, is theirs, and it's not Israel's, and Israel has no right to be there. Iran has vowed to wipe them off the face of the earth. This is what's going on. And what I have to ask is, isn't it interesting that here we are in the last days, okay? Now listen, do you recognize that in your Bible, that if you were to go back 3,000 years, there is only 3 cities that were named the same exact thing back 3,000 years ago? That's crazy if you stop and you think about it. Do you want to know what those 3 cities are? Jerusalem. That's still named Jerusalem. Anybody got a second one? Damascus. I wonder if they're a major player. Huh. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood is right out of that. Okay? And what's the third one? Huh? What? I can't hear you guys. No. Nazareth is 2,000. Let me help you. Babylon. And Babylon is going to be a major player in all this. Matter of fact, it's called Mystery Babylon over in Revelation 17. I think that's very significant. But here we are in the last days. First of all, for the verse that I'm about to show you, you have to understand something. Jerusalem would still have to be standing for this to even matter. Because this was written over 2,000 years ago. And yet, what does Zechariah chapter number 12 tell us? Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. Listen, we're almost there. That specific thing that he's talking about right there is going to be Armageddon, okay? However, Jerusalem's still standing, and we're getting close. Not many are standing with Jerusalem anymore. Not many are standing with Israel. We're borderline standing with them. We're still there for a moment, but those verses tells us that there's going to come a time when we won't be, because all the world's going to be gathered against it. Okay? What I want you to understand is, isn't it interesting that it's not New York, it's not, Paris or San Francisco or LA or Moscow or London. It's Jerusalem would be the epicenter of the burdensome stone of all the earth. Listen, there's only one city in the world, in my humble opinion, that could get attacked right now that would cause World War III. And that'd be Jerusalem. And you go, why would that happen? Because let me tell you something. If Jerusalem went to war right now, if that city was at war right now, that Dome of the Rock would come down. And if that Dome of the Rock comes down, you don't think all the Muslim fury would go after Israel? Because that Dome of the Rock needs to come down for the third temple to get rebuilt. And it's going to come down because the third temple is going to get rebuilt. You could destroy the two towers in New York City, it wouldn't start a war. You go into Jerusalem and you take down that Dome of the Rock, World War III starts right now. Just like that, World War III happens. There's no other city that would happen to. And the Bible called it out. It told us that Jerusalem would be the epicenter of it all. And certainly it is. So what's going on over there in the Gaza Strip? The Gaza Strip, go ahead and click that there for me. The Gaza Strip, which is located right here, okay? There's three major areas in Israel that we need to pay attention to that I think have some significant importance. Obviously, all of Israel does. But you have the Gaza Strip, you have the West Bank, and you have the Golan Heights. All right, so the Golan Heights are up further on this map. Don't worry about it, Peyton. Just stay right here. Okay, but the Golan Heights are up here. Now, why those three areas are so significantly important is because those were the three areas that Israel failed to exterminate during the time of Joshua. And the Bible called it out. The Bible tells us that was going to happen. If you don't do it, then they are going to be a problem for you. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. Okay? But it's those exact areas in the Bible that they said they weren't going to exterminate. They didn't, and here we are. Joshua's, 3,000 years ago? And here we are, and guess what? To this day, there's still a problem for Israel. It's almost like God wrote the book. It's stuff like that you just can't get past. Like if you want to try to prove that this book is a supernatural book, it's things like this that prove it. Okay? Undoubtedly. Like you can't nail things like that, and yet the Bible is doing that. So this area of the Gaza Strip between Israel and Egypt and the Mediterranean Sea, it houses about 2.3 million people, and it's one of the highest population densities in the world. It really is crazy. And the reality is, Israel controls the airspace over the Gaza and its shoreline and restricts who and what goods are allowed to go in and out. Obviously, this causes a major issue for the Palestinians that live in there. So they feel like Israel's not giving them enough aid to help them. And then Israel's kind of going, well, you shouldn't even be here. It's our land. You need to get out of here. You see where the conflict's all coming in, okay? And this is what's going on. So Palestine, which is very much so a major player in these three areas of Gaza, West Bank, and the Golan Heights. Palestine, none of this area was called Palestine until sometime after the Roman Empire. Okay? So then what happened is if you were to take a map, and if you were to look at a map prior to 1948, and you were to look at that map, it would show you that area of Israel would be called Palestine. Okay? Well, you can see the obvious problem that we have. The obvious problem is the Muslim world, because they don't have enough already, right? They need, like they certainly couldn't take all the refugees in the Gaza Strip and go move them to Saudi Arabia, which is huge. No, they need the Gaza Strip, right? They got to have that area. So apparently, that's what's going on here. And what's happening is they're claiming that from a political standpoint, that it's their land. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it is from a political standpoint. But this isn't a political problem. This is a spiritual problem. We're talking about not the forces of good and evil, if you will, and we can call it that if you want, but we're talking about the forces of God and the devil. That's where we're at a whole nother level. God promised that land to Israel, and it doesn't matter what the world says, that land is Israel's. Yeah. And there's the issue. That's why this problem's not going to go away. There's nothing. Israel's not going to succeed the land, okay, number one. And listen, as much as the Palestinians and the Muslims are all saying, oh, we just want to give us a little land for peace, that's not their objective. You can give them a little land and they're going to fight for more. You can give them a little more and they want them gone. Because that's the devil's objective, to completely wipe Israel out. That's the issue that's going on. That's why this issue is not going to go away. It never will until the Lord returns. Okay, there's going to be no peace in the Middle East until the Prince of Peace comes. You understand? Okay, none of this is going away. That's why when things like this happen, we need to take note, because it's moving forward the prophetical timeline. We're getting closer to whatever is coming. So the reality is, what could happen next? What are we looking at with everything that's going on over there? You know, we just sent over a bunch of, one warship, aircraft carrier. And the idea and the reason why they did that is because they're trying to avoid Hezbollah to get involved. That's why they sent the aircraft carrier over, okay? Because Hezbollah, if they get involved, now we're going to start really getting some big problems happening. And where we're at is Hamas is calling for the Palestinians and other Arabs to join the militants to help sweep away the Israeli corruption, is what they say. Now, the question is, if these other areas come to the call, okay, then we may be seeing Psalm 83. That's why we want to take note. On Sunday morning, Hezbollah launched a number of missiles and shells at northern Israel. They didn't cause any casualties, but it obviously is showing that their willingness to want to join the fight. And you know, if you ask me, I think it's just a matter of time before they do. And that's where we're at. God's ever since God brought Israel back into the nation, into their homeland, which was obviously prophesied, we have to understand why He brought them back into the land. He brought them back into the land because He's getting ready for the end time events to start to occur. Because like I said, until Israel calls upon their Messiah, the Lord won't return. You see where we're at? So he brought them back into the land in unbelief. Israel does not believe Jesus is their Messiah right now. By the way, the Bible said that's exactly how He would bring them back. I believe, if I remember correctly, Ezekiel 28 is where you'll see some of that. He brought them back into the land in unbelief, and they've been in unbelief ever since. But the time's coming when God's going to plead with them face to face, and they're going to turn to Jesus during the tribulation period. But I want to show you a couple things here before we finish up with Psalm 83. Go with me. I think I got it. I think I got it up here. Numbers 33. Do I have it up here, Peyton? Numbers 33. What's the next slide? Just hit the next slide. Let me see it. Next one. Here we go. Right here. This is good. So look at here. Okay. So way back when Israel was going through the wilderness, getting ready to go into the promised land, when God was telling Israel when they go into the promised land, this is what you need to do. He said, hey, listen, when you are passed over Jordan into the land of Canaan, drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you. He said, dispossess the inhabitants of the land. You got to get them out of there. Click me to the next one. He goes on to say, if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land, then it will come to pass, those which remain will be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and shall vex you. Well, ironically, go ahead and hit it, Joshua. What happens is, the children of Manasseh could not drive out the inhabitants. They did not utterly drive them out. And if you were to follow along the path, I don't have the time to go into it all, but if you follow along the path, what you'll find out is the areas that were not driven out were the Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights, and the West Bank. And here we are, thousands of years later, and just as God said that they would be, they are a problem for Israel. They're the very strongholds that Israel failed to defeat. But Jeremiah 49 tells us something that's worthy of note. Click me. Okay, so here, just real quick. There's the Gaza Strip. There's your West Bank. It's going to be right up in here, just northeast of Jerusalem. And then there's the Golan Heights. Those are the territories that remain in dispute. So the rest of all this green here, right in here where the borderline is, this is all considered Israel. These areas are considered shared by the Palestinians and Israel. As of right now, they're the contested areas. Okay? Click me. But now look at what Jeremiah 49 says concerning the Ammonites. Now I want you to hang on to that word Ammonites for a minute, because I'm going to show you who the Ammonites are in a second. Look at it. He says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites. And it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be an heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Lord." In other words, they're going to take possession of the land. So, when I see that Israel's going to war, that's where it causes me to go, okay, something's up. Because God said it's going to happen. I will cause an alarm of war to be heard. Okay? Now, the thing you want to know about the Ammonites are the Palestinian people. The Ammonites are from central Jordan, the modern day nation of Jordan. Okay, I'm going to show you all that in a minute. But I want you to understand that after the time of Judges, the history of the nation of Israel obviously is well documented, both secularly and biblically. They turned from God, and God removed them from the land. But God promised that He would never leave them or forsake them, and when the time was right, He would bring them back into their land and begin the events of the end times. And I believe in 1948, that's exactly what happened. He got them back into the land, and it started the events. And He was going to bring them back for the primary purpose of them ultimately accepting Jesus as their Messiah, which is going to usher in the second coming, which is going to usher in the events of Armageddon. It's going to start the millennial reign, and Jesus ruling from the Jerusalem, sitting on the throne of David. That all started in 1948. And here we are now, as we're starting to progress through the timeline of things, and things are happening, we're seeing how we're getting close. God promised He was going to bring them back into the land. Look at Ezekiel 36. There's all kinds of places I could bring you. We could spend all kinds of time on this. I just want to show you some quick stuff. It says, "For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and I will bring you into your own land. I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel." He promised He was going to do it, and He did. He did exactly what He said. Israel's a very interesting subject when it comes to prophecy. Israel is the only nation in all the history of the world that got removed from their homeland, remained an identifiable people, kept their identity as a religion and all that stuff. They're the only people that have ever done that. And it was just like God said it would. Nobody else has ever done that. Nobody. Do you know any Aztecs? Got any Aztec friends? Anybody got anybody that they know from the Roman Empire? I mean, you see what I'm saying? When a nation falls and is taken over by another nation, they crumble and they dissimulate and they just migrate into other people groups. Israel is the only one that never did. And the Bible said it. Listen, you don't have to give me anything else. That's good enough for me. Okay, let's go. What's this book say? Because that's exactly what led me to the Lord. That's how I got led to the Lord, because you can't argue that. Those are facts. You got to do something with that. That's why I'm trying to tell you. When Israel goes to war, hey man, if you're going to get right with Jesus, now's a good time, because something's up. Israel's going to war, something's up. Here we go. It's coming. Listen, the Bible tells us that the Jews would rebuild and inhabit formerly abandoned cities. If you got time later, go to Ezekiel 36. Go read all about it. It tells us what is going on. It tells us that Israel is going to meet with resistance in the region. And who's the resistance going to come from? It's going to come from all those Muslim nations. Now listen, you've got to make sure you understand something. Israel still has to be a people. The Muslim nations have to be a people for all this to be happening. And they are. Listen, that within itself is crazy. At any time during the history of the world, those people could have got wiped out. With everything that was going on and all the nations that fell, how come those nations never got wiped out? What's up? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you got to do something with that. So with all that being said, let's go to Psalm 83 and let's just take a quick look at what Psalm 83 says. And obviously it's a short psalm, so it shouldn't take very long to kind of run through it. But I want you to grab on to what's going on here. Peyton, can you hit me the slide there where I've got the nations of Psalm 83? There's a slide, a map right there. Beautiful. Okay, so let me grab on to you. Okay, couple things I want you to understand. Psalm 83 is a separate war from Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay? Psalm 83 has to do with all the nations that touch Israel. They're the immediate surrounding nations of Israel. Ezekiel 38 and 39 is just outside of Israel, the rest of the Muslim world, if you will. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay? So, if you were to track back, a very good place to go do this is to start at Genesis 10. Genesis 10 lists all the nations of the world after the flood and where people migrated and the migrations of people. Okay, they have done studies, secular studies of migrating back to finding out where people came from. So if you were to take Genesis 10 and start doing some studying on all that, this is where you're going to find out where all these people migrated from. Obviously, in the Bible, when somebody wrote down a city, they didn't write down Moscow. Moscow wasn't in existence yet. What they wrote, right, was the name of what it was then. Y'all with me? Okay? So, same thing's going on here. So when you see these things like Amalek, Hagarenes, Philistia, Tyre, Gebal, Assyria, Ammon, Moab, Edom, the Ishmaelites. Okay, understand, that's what they were called when they migrated to those areas. What they're called today, Edom, Moab, and Ammon's modern day Jordan. Right? Philistines, the Philistias, that's modern day Gaza Strip. The Hagarenes, I mean, that should be easy. We know where Hagar came from. Egypt, right? Assyria is Syria. Gebal, Tyre, that's Lebanon up in here, okay? So you can kind of get a feel. It's pretty easy to kind of go, some of them are like, oh yeah, that's easy. Okay, I can get that. Some of them you might have to actually do a little homework to figure out where they came from. But let's take a look here. It says, keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. All right, just stop right there for a second. It's been 50 years. Kind of feels like God's been a little silent. Not much has been going on. Israel hasn't been at war. Almost feels like, okay. But then something's going to happen where this writer, notice what it says there, a song or psalm of who? Everybody see that? If you have it in your Bible, it's a song or a psalm of who? All right, so who is this Asaph guy? Check this out. 2 Chronicles 29:30 tells us who this Asaph guy is. Peyton, come on, help me out. Okay, 2 Chronicles, look, check it out. No, 2 Chronicles, you got to go back to, I think. Look at what it says here. Moreover, Hezekiah the king and the prince commanded the Levites to sing praises unto the Lord with the words of David and of the what? Oh boy. Who is this guy? He's a prophet. He's foretelling the future. Now, obviously, the book of Psalms in 83, that's part of the Davidic Psalms. So you obviously can start connecting the dots and go, oh, that's the same guy that was hanging with David. Y'all see? Okay, so this guy was a prophet. All right, well, what's going on here? He says, for lo, go back to that map, Peyton. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult. Okay, what's a tumult? Okay, they make a loud noise. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. Okay, stop. God speaking. Be not silent. O God, right? These people are taking crafty counsel against your people, God. Who is God's people? Israel. Y'all got it? Now watch. This book's good. And who? Consulted against thy hidden ones. Okay, so who's the hidden ones of God's people? Because in the Old Testament, the church was, it don't take long to go figure this stuff out. Now let's figure it out. Who does the Muslim world want to destroy? And the Christians. Crazy, right? Here we are. Just like the Bible said, here we are. The church wasn't even thought of yet from man's perspective. Yet the Bible called it out, just like it was going to be. And it's exactly what's going on, right? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Sounds exactly like what all these Muslim leaders are saying, because it is. They want to destroy Israel. They want to wipe them off the face of the earth. They want to cut them off from being a people. It's exactly what Hitler wanted to do. By the way, I'm not on a soapbox. I'm just telling you some facts, and facts are a stubborn thing. Do you understand that what Hitler was doing, and when he did it, he was just trying to do what the Roman Catholic Church failed to do? But let's go, man. Oh, come on. The Roman Catholic Church is a good church. Sure it is. Sure it is. Let's just play facts. I'm just being a fact maker. Do what you want with the information. Don't get mad at me. So listen. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And then in verses 6 through 8, he lists the names of them. Who are they? Edom. Edom are the Palestinians and southern Jordan. He then says the Ishmaelites. Those are the Saudis. Ishmael, the father of the Arabs. Of Moab. Moabs are the Palestinians of central Jordan. And of the Hagarenes. Those are the Egyptians. I wonder if any of these places have had any place in the news of late. What's going on in Egypt? I think the Muslim Brotherhood, there was a lot of stuff going on up there in the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, wasn't there? Okay, Gebal. Gebal is Hezbollah and the northern Lebanese. Ammon is the Palestinians in northern Jordan. Amalek. Amalek is the Arabs of the area of Golan Heights. And the Philistines, the Hamas of the Gaza Strip. And the inhabitants of Tyre, that's the Hezbollah and southern Lebanese, the West Bank. And then Assur also should join with them. That's the Syrians and northern Iraq. By the way, which is where Damascus is, which is where the Muslim Brotherhood is located. Now, a couple things. Number one, these people have to be a people group for this to even matter. And every single one of them, just by coincidence, are. And then on top of that, these people group have to be in confederate with one another. So not only do they have to exist and all be together with the fact that they want to destroy Israel. Israel has to be there. I mean, do you see where the dominoes start to fall? You start to go, wait a minute, man. So this has to happen for this to happen, for this to happen, for this to happen, for this to happen, for this to happen. Come on, coincidence? Really? Are we there? That we're going to go, this is all just coincidence? No, it's not coincidence. And here we are. We're living right now, as we speak right now, as of Wednesday, October, what's the date, 10th, 11th? 11th. As of right now, these countries right here, these places are all in confederate together. They're all Muslims, and guess what they all want? Them to be destroyed. That's where we are. Could be coincidence if you want to call it that. By the way, while we're at it, not only are all these people in confederate with one another and want them destroyed, guess who else they want destroyed? Crazy, right? I mean, why in the world will they attack the two towers? Why would they attack America? Why did they attack? Does anybody even know why the Muslim world attacked America? Because America calls itself a Christian nation. Do you understand what's going on? Do you think they're done attacking America? You're out of your mind if you don't. Here is the beautiful, and I say beautiful, here is the sad reality when it comes to the Muslim nations. They are very patient people. And they just step back and they reload. They just reload. And then they come at you when you're not paying attention. And that's exactly what they did to us on 9/11. That's exactly what they just did to Israel. And I promise you the day's coming, probably soon, they're going to do it to us again. It's coming. Okay? They aren't going away. We have to recognize something about the Muslim world. Okay? As of right now, it is the largest people group on planet Earth. 1.2 billion people represent the Muslim nations. You have 1.2 billion people that hate Israel. You have 1.2 billion people that hate the United States. Maybe some of them don't. But they are being breeded and brought up as young children to be taught to hate us, to want to destroy us. They don't care. They don't care that their people are getting killed. That's what's worrisome. They don't care because to them, that's jihad. It's the greatest honor to die for Allah in the cause to wipe out the devil, Israel. The lesser Satan, Israel. What? Who's the greater Satan? We are. So as much as their hatred is for Israel, it's that much greater for us. And they're breeded to hate us. How do you contend with that? There's no reasoning with that. You've got no chance to reason with that. And we've got to understand this is where we're at. And that's why when Israel says they're going to war with them, take note. If you're going to get right with Jesus, man, now's the time to do it. I wouldn't be putting that off. Because here we go, man. I don't know for sure if Psalm 83 is coming down the line, but I'm telling you right now, it's getting close. Look what the psalmist says here in verse 9. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera, as the Jabin, on the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor, they become as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb. And so just to kind of cut it short, okay? Look at the last verse there. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the most high over all the earth. Okay, so what's going on here? Why is all this happening? Well, I don't know for sure if it's happening right now. I am telling you it's coming. Why is that happening? Why? Okay, because the devil is going to attack Israel to try to wipe them off the face of the earth at some point. Psalm 83 is going to happen at some point. Okay? Now, let me give you this little line and I'll be done. Watch this. So what's going to happen is, per the Bible, these nations that border with Israel are all going to attack Israel. What's going to happen to them? God is going to destroy them. That's what's going to happen. God's going to destroy them. Why? To make His name known. Why? Because He's getting ready to announce to the world and to Israel, the Lord's coming. He's getting ready. And when they do that, He's going to come in, He's going to destroy them, and He's going to make His name known. Okay, so let me ask you a question. When all these nations all get beat up by Israel and destroyed, what do you think is going to happen to the rest of the Muslim world? You think they're going to go, well, that sucks for them. Whew. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, that's where Ezekiel 38 and 39 comes in. Because now, see, these guys are relatively small compared to the big boys. Iran, Iraq, Turkey. Those are the major players of Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay? You got Turkey, Lebanon, Iran, Sudan, Libya, Syria. Those are the big players that are going to come into this thing in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay, well, you get those guys into the game. My question to you is, and listen, not just those guys, because you want to know who the final piece of that puzzle is going to join with them is? Russia. If you went back to 1975, this would have been an impossibility. There was no chance of this happening. Does anybody know why? Huh? Iran hated Russia. Russia hated Iran. They were at constant war with each other for over 2,000 years, those areas. Then all of a sudden, right around 1981, 1982, what happened? They started to become best of friends. And over the years, that friendship has gotten closer and closer to the point now where Russia's selling Iran weapons, they're building nuclear weapons. What do you think Iran's building nuclear weapons for? So that they can have better energy in Iran? What is Iran's major number one goal? To wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and then when we're done in Israel, then who? You think Russia might be okay with that? What do y'all think? It's all being played out exactly the way the Bible said it was going to get played out. And it's just amazing to me that people are ignorant to this. And on top of that, I could stand up here on a night like tonight, be preaching this and showing you where the Bible says this stuff is going to happen, and people still just keep doing what they're doing. God is showing himself alive and well. And he's getting ready to lay down the wood, if you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's getting ready to drop it, man. And here we are, man. We're all just sitting here going, whatever. Oh, that's just all coincidence. Oh, come on. That's not really, that's just your interpretation. Okay, just my interpretation. I got you. When's it not my interpretation? Huh? When the Lord is returning on his horse and the word of his mouth is coming out and people are literally being splattered all over the place? Is it my interpretation still then? Because it's coming. That's what's coming. And people are getting ready for it because we're too busy living our own lives. And listen, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that the world is being ignorant to this stuff. Why is the people of the church being ignorant to it? What is wrong with us? God is doing what God always does. He's proven himself over and over again, and we're just batting a blind eye to him. And it's scary to me. It really is. Why does Pastor Frank preach as hard as he does? Why is he so hard? Because the time's coming, and it's coming soon. And the stuff like this, listen, I don't know if this is Psalm 83. I don't know if that's what's going on right now. Do I think it's setting the stage for what is going to come at some point? Absolutely. Of course it is. But I can't say for sure it's Psalm 83 until these other players get involved. I mean, is the teeter-totter close enough for those other players to get involved? Yes, it is. It wouldn't take, but listen, we could come back here next Wednesday and all those players are involved by then. You see what I'm saying? Like, it ain't going to take much for that to happen. But this is what I will tell you. There's not much that I know how this is all going to play itself out outside of what Scripture says. Okay? So there's a couple things there that I'm not going to be and I will never be dogmatic about. And what I mean by that is okay, when does Psalm 83 take place? Well, I don't know. It could be at any moment. Okay, when does Ezekiel 38 and 39 take place? I will be dogmatic about that. It will come after Psalm 83. No questions asked. Okay? Why? Because Psalm 38 and 39, takes place, part of it takes place into the tribulation. Okay? I'll be dogmatic about that because that's what Scripture teaches. No questions. Now, I say all that to say, I won't be dogmatic about when the rapture of the church is going to take place. What I will say is, though, that the rapture of the church is going to take place before Ezekiel 38 and 39 takes place. So if we're on the cusp of Psalm 83, get ready. Get ready. Because the rapture of the church, I mean, man, listen, and by the way, the rapture of the church is not in conjunction with Psalm 83. In other words, the rapture could happen before Psalm 83 comes to pass. There's nothing saying that it can't. Okay? The possibilities that we might be here for Psalm 83, certainly there. It's possible. The possibilities that we get to see it. It's possible, sure. There's no guarantee we will. All I'm telling you is, get ready. If Israel announced war, this isn't good. This is going down, man. Something's going down, and I think time is short. I've always thought time is short, but, it's like the Bible says. It's birth pangs. It's like a woman who's laboring for a child. When you get closer to birthing the child, what happens? Those tremors, Y'all got what I'm saying? I'm calling them tremors because biblically that's what they are, right? They start getting a little more heated. It starts getting a little more intense, and we're getting intense. We're starting to get really intense. Man, if I was going to get right with the Lord, now would be the time. I'm just telling you, man, now would be the time. I would not be putting that off another moment because I just don't know. I'll say this and then I'm done. I will never be dogmatic about when events are going to take place. I'm not going to predict when the rapture is going to happen. I'm not going to predict when the second coming is going to take place. I'm not going to do any of that. And the reason why I'm not going to do any of that is because the Bible doesn't do that. What the Bible does do, and what the Bible does say is, look out for the signs. Watch them. Watch the signs. Then you'll know redemption is nigh. Okay? So that's what I will do. Now, if you just wanted Frank's wild guess at it, I'll give you a wild guess. I'm not, and I want to be clear, I'm not being dogmatic about it. I'm not saying that what I'm about to say is true. I think that prophecy is a very important subject to me. I've studied it for a good part of the last 20-something years. Revelation is my favorite book. Doesn't mean I'm an expert at this subject by any means, but I'd like to think I at least have some knowledge on this subject. So I think if I'm going to give you an educated guess, that's all I'm giving you is an educated guess. I think it's interesting that 2032 is on the horizon. And you go, why is that interesting? Well, because 2032 would be somewhere very close to 2,000 years since somebody died on a cross. How long is the church age supposed to last? Well, Hosea chapter 6 definitely indicates 2,000 years is about the time frame. Do with that what you will. I don't know for sure if 2032 is where this is all going down. And then, of course, you got to throw in the whole 360-day years or 365-day years. And all. I get all that. I'm just telling you, man, hey, listen, I think if I was going to give an educated guess and I was going to say, man, 2032 is around the corner, listen, 2032, when I say it's around the corner, what I'm saying that is that's the end of it all. That's when it all ends. So the tribulation would have to be 7 years prior to that. So, if you do the math, that's 2026. Now, Mr. Chris Wing, I don't know where he went, but he could tell you I've been saying that for years. When we were back over there, am I right? Who did I kept saying we have to watch out for? What was the big nation I said we got to watch out for them? Turkey. This is going back 12 years ago. I kept telling them, watch out for Turkey. When Turkey is, so you got to understand something about Turkey. They're going to join the coalition with Russia in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay? Here's the thing you need to understand about Turkey. Prior to about, 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was now? Prior to that, for all the time that Israel, going all the way back to 1948, Turkey had been trying to join with NATO. They were friendly to Israel. They weren't going to turn their back on Israel. They were the only Muslim nation that was semi-friendly to Israel. Why? Because they were trying to join NATO. So they were being friendly to Israel. Well, what happened about 3 or 4 years ago? The Muslim Brotherhood went in, took it all over, and now what is Turkey vowing? Here we are. Here we are, man. And now Turkey wants to blow up Israel just like all the rest of them. So you don't think Turkey's going to join with Iran? And they've already joined in the covenant with Iran. It's just crazy. It's crazy what's going on, man. And all I can say is the Bible predicted every single bit of it. And he nailed it. Every precise piece is nailed. It's amazing to me. You just can't deny it if you're being a reasonable person. So I say all that to say, man, if I was going to get right with Jesus, I'd get right with him right about now. Right about now would be a good time. You're right, because I don't know how much time we got left. I really don't. Truthfully, we could all go get in a car right now and get in an accident on the way home. Let's just be honest. So even if you don't want to play that game, listen, we aren't guaranteed another moment on this earth. We really should be getting right anyways. But man, if you really need some kind of motivation, that's a pretty good one, if you're asking me. If you're asking me what's going on over in Israel right now, the fact that Israel is claiming war, and that was kind of what we were kind of waiting for, kind of thing. Yeah, I would take note of that. I don't know if it's Psalm 83, but I think Psalm 83 is definitely on the horizon, very, very soon. Like I said, by this time next week, we could be in Psalm 83. I would not be surprised at that at all. At all. All right. All right. I hope you learned something. Hope that was worthwhile. I just thought with everything that was going on over there, we should hit on that. So, we'll see what happens here in the next few days. Maybe we'll have to hit up again next Wednesday. I don't know.
Is that a picture of what just happened recently?
Yes.